Who can legally own a gun in Wisconsin? Well, for handguns, anybody over the age of 21, we start with the presumption that they can own a handgun, and that's provided under our United States Constitution and the Wisconsin Constitution. Second Amendment and the amendment that mirrors that in the Wisconsin Constitution. However, there are some people that lose their right to own a firearm, and those people would be convicted felons is one that most people know about. Individuals convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence, that's called the Lautenberg Act. Somebody who's been dishonorably discharged from the military. If you're addicted to drugs or alcohol, if you've been committed to a mental institution, and there's some other prohibitions as well. The Lautenberg Act, which I mentioned just a moment ago. That's where if an individual's been convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence, they cannot own a firearm under federal law. And the way the statute is worded, it requires that the individual be convicted of a misdemeanor that has as an element the use of force or attempted use of force against a certain enumerated group of people. The big one in Wisconsin is our disorderly conduct statute, which has several different elements to it that if you meet any one of them, you could be found guilty of disorderly conduct. Abusive, profane, boisterous, unreasonably loud, or any other disorderly manner. Well, the only one of those, violent, the only one of those that meets the requirement for the Lautenberg Act is violence. However, many times attorneys, prosecutors will charge that out, listing all of them. So it's not really clear when you're convicted what you were convicted of, whether there was violence involved or not. So the DOJ has given me guidance that they will go in those cases, if someone applies to get a handgun, they will go in and they will check the criminal complaint. They can check the minutes, they can check the transcripts, they can check anything they want to determine whether or not you were actually convicted of a crime which involved the use of force. And then there's another area as well, and that's with whether or not if you were convicted of a felony and then you were subsequently had that felony expunged. If you look at the Wisconsin statutes, it appears that you cannot own a firearm in Wisconsin if you're a convicted felon, even if it was expunged. In talking to the DOJ, they take the position that expunction gets rid of the conviction altogether, so you can own a firearm, according to the DOJ, if you have an expunged felony. However, again, in my opinion, that doesn't match up with the statute.